Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of the happy-go-lucky, positive energy, good fairy goes to hell. I'm only kidding. I don't want to scare you, right? I'm only kidding. Or am I? You see, that's the problem, right? And that's probably what you're wondering. Because, in the midst of dealing with a difficult challenge, you've been trying to maintain a positive attitude, and you don't really know if perhaps that's the best idea or not. But let's talk for a moment about that concept of a positive attitude and how that concept of a positive attitude may occasionally from time to time need to be tempered with, a good perspective of just actually what is possible. Now, starting on the 24th of March and running until the 25th of April will be the first of 3 intensive conjunctions between Jupiter and Pluto in Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra. So, of course, we're going to talk about that right now. But I need to explain what I mean by intensive conjunctions. Generally, when planets are in the same 3-degree, 20-minute section of sky, so for instance, 2 planets in 0 to 3 degrees 20 minutes of a Rashi or a sign, or 2 planets in 3 degrees 20 minutes of a sign to 640 of a sign, or 640 to 10, etc. When they're in that same 3-degree 20-minute section, which is different than an orb of influence for all of you astrology buffs, that's when their connection tends to be at its peak. So we have 3 of those happening this year. The first of those takes place between the 24th of March and the 25th of April. The second takes place between the 3rd of June and the 6th of July, when Jupiter is going through its retrograde cycle. And the third takes place between the 24th of October and the 15th of November. So we're going to talk about that first one today, and I'll do other videos when those other ones come into the equation later on in the year. But let's come back to what we were talking about that concept of positive attitude versus realism. So we don't like going through those difficult times. We don't like those challenges. I mean, who would, right? Who's going to go, oh, wow, I really like, when life is horrible, right? We just don't do that. We like for everything to kind of flow well and for everything to kind of stay nice and smooth, right? And then when we come up against a brick wall that makes it so that we feel that even with the most positive of attitudes going forward, that we're still not getting anywhere, then we can become prone to losing hope. And the losing hope side of it is not really, the positive side of it, right? Of course, that's obvious, right? But at the same time, when we come up against that resistance, sometimes it forces us to look at another option. And it's through looking at that other option that we can often recognize something that ultimately might be, better for us, right? But when we were approaching the energy from more of an assertive stance, it generally doesn't really work out for us. And so sometimes we need to kind of get into a space of surrender so we can obtain the wisdom necessary to be able to move forward in the future, right? I was joking with a friend of mine online the other night, and I'm going to share this with you. And I was talking about Pluto, right? And we don't often talk about Pluto in terms of Vedic astrology. It's a planet we usually don't work with, but there is a way to work with the outer planets in Vedic astrology. More on that in another video, right? But when we have these Pluto conjunctions, they're pretty powerful. They don't happen that often between the, big planetary heavyweights and Pluto. With Jupiter, it happens roughly every 12 years. The last time Jupiter and Pluto conjuncted each other in Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra Well, that was way back in 1770. That was the time that the skirmishes that led up to the American Revolutionary War were beginning. I think that's when the Falkland Islands were founded. There was a lot going on in the world at that time. And, at present, we're living in rather intensive and revolutionary times. And yes, the world's changing, and it's no wonder that you're changing too, right? Because when your external environment changes so drastically, your internal environment has to change as well. But back to what I was saying to my friend online. I use the analogy that Pluto is the one planet that will kick your butt until you surrender, until you're forced to surrender and kind of go down on your knees. And then Pluto will go, okay, well, now since you've surrendered, I'm going to give you the strength to kick my butt, right? So it kind of kicks your butt, and then it goes, okay, you have to surrender. Okay, now you can kick my butt, right? And that's kind of how it works. And actually, you may find during this first period of time, between the 24th of March and the 25th of April, a reason for hope. But that reason for hope comes by recognizing and approaching a situation, well, with a healthy dose of realism. You see, Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is often noted for giving the capacity for a breakthrough, right? But the way that it gives that breakthrough is first, well, through coming up against some resistance. And when we come against that resistance, number one, it strengthens us. If we lose our hope in the face of a challenge, right? Then, our hope isn't strong enough, right? We're not strong enough to confront that challenge. But if we're able to maintain hope and we're able to maintain faith, even in the face of difficult circumstances, then, we can be rewarded. But what also happens during that time is quite often the ego gets attached to the solution that it wants. This is the way this has to happen. It has to happen this way. The set of circumstances has to play out in this particular manner. I'm not going to accept any other manner except this manner. Now, Jupiter is a planet that belongs to the Jiva kingdom, right? Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is also associated with the Jiva kingdom. With the Jiva kingdom of both the nakshatras and the planets, there's quite often a lesson of learning when to be assertive and equally when to take a more balanced approach and be, more submissive. And with Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra, you need to do a little bit of both. Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is connected to the sun. The sun's going to be strong during this first period of intensive transit. And Mars, Jupiter, and Pluto will all be joining each other in one close-knit section of the sky at this time of the alignment. This is very powerful energy that can help to push something through. But the way that answer or the way that a solution comes is by first being willing to not approach it with such an egotistical point of view that somehow you're going to rise above this situation and completely conquer it on your own terms, right? Well, I take that back, because you are going to conquer it on your own terms, but it's most likely because your terms are going to change to the terms that will actually work for your particular situation, right? So Jupiter is a Brahman planet, okay? Brahman planets are really good at advising the individual or advising the native, right? That's what Jupiter does. It gives wisdom, right? It gives wisdom that leads to joy. That's what it says in Brihat Parashara Horus Shastra. Jupiter is wisdom knowing joy. But the way that wisdom knowing joy comes in this particular instance is through a Vaisha Nakshatra. And with Vaisha Nakshatras, there's always the element of interchange. So you're putting something out. And that thing that you're putting out is, well, maybe too forceful, too strong, and too assertive, right? And it's not necessarily that you're coming from the wrong place, because you're approaching this with really positive energy and just trying to maintain your faith, right? And so you're kind of going, well, this isn't fair. This isn't nice. The universe is being mean to me. But in reality, you're just going about things the wrong way. And it's trying to tell you, look, you got it all wrong. So in order for you to get it right, my good friend Pluto has to come along and take Fluffy the bunny rabbit to hell so that he wakes up and sees what it is that needs to be done and recognizes that what he was imagining as being a fate worse than hell, right, is actually something that is ultimately to his benefit, right? And that's the whole thing. Pluto also empowers us, but we have to kind of take a look at things on a different level. It's not going to come on our own terms until our terms change. Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is also symbolized by a small platform, the capacity to rise up above a situation. Jupiter, interestingly enough, is connected to Indra. Indra, the king of the gods, was given his status of king of the gods through conquering the senses. So when our senses rule us, we don't see things correctly. We see things incorrectly. We see things in a confused manner. When we see things correctly and recognize the truth of what actually needs to happen beyond our own personal opinion of what we think should happen, right? Then we're raised up above a situation and we're given the capacity, if not to completely conquer the situation, to move forward with a great deal of strength and to advance in a more positive way. So this is an empowering alignment, but in the weeks that lead up to it, you may be facing some personal challenges. A lot of you have been reaching out to me lately, talking to me about the experiences that you're going through, the intensity that's happening in your life. Well, first of all, back about a month or so ago, we had an alignment between Saturn and Pluto. Now we've got Jupiter following on the tail end of that and bringing some more intensity to the situation. It may seem intense, but pay attention to what you're being asked to take a look at. Through paying attention, through being willing to listen, through being willing to accept a way beyond the way you think it should be, that is how great progress will come your way. And if you could use a little bit of help navigating these difficult times, I am offering readings on a sliding scale basis, at least for the present moment. I'm unsure of how long I'm going to continue this particular offer for. It depends upon, the feedback that I get from people who are interested in it. But if you're interested in having a reading to help you to navigate these difficult times, please visit my astrological services page above. You'll see the rates that I normally charge on my astrological services page, but you'll also see that a sliding scale rate is being offered. All you have to do is contact me through the website, and we can set things in motion if you're interested. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody, and until next time, please stay strong. Don't give up the faith, right? But pay attention. Take care. Bye now.